Did you know that St. Luke's University Health Network has been recognized by the U.S. government as the highest performing health system in the United States for quality? You heard right. St. Luke's #1 recognition affirms our status as the top leader among the most respected healthcare providers in the nation, including Houston Methodist and the Mayo Clinic. To state it simply, if you want to receive the best care when you go to a hospital, come to St. Luke's.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
This is the Stone Zone with Roger Stone.
People love him and respect him. Roger Stone.
Now, get in the zone. It's the Stone Zone. Here's Roger Stone.
You are now jumping headfirst into the Stone Zone. Welcome to our very special President's Day show. President's Day, which was originally Washington's birthday, is of course a U.S. federal holiday honoring multiple presidents. Originally, George Washington's birthday was the federal holiday. That was February 22nd, 1732 originally. After his death, I think it was in 1799, Americans began celebrating his birthday to honor the first president and, of course, the Revolutionary War leader. By 1879, Washington's birthday officially became a federal holiday. But over time, Americans began to informally honor Abraham Lincoln, who was born on February 12th. This was particularly true in the northern states. Although Lincoln never got a separate federal holiday, his legacy blended into Washington's celebration to give us the modern-day President's Day. It was back in 1968, Congress passed the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, moving several holidays to Mondays in order to create long weekends. That was to accommodate America's families. Washington's birthday shifted to the third Monday in February as a holiday, starting in 1971. Because the date falls between Lincoln's and Washington's birthday, retailers and states popularized the commercial name President's Day, although today is technically, officially, George Washington's birthday. So the day now is somewhat changed, honoring all presidents. I forwarded and reposted a great meme online. It's a picture of Bill and Hillary Clinton, and Bill Clinton says, "Happy President's Day, Hillary," and Hillary says, "Up yours, Bill." I wrote very extensively about their complicated relationship. I am convinced that Bill Clinton was both brilliant but somewhat lazy, and it was Hillary Clinton who provided the drive for him to both make a comeback after being elected governor of Arkansas, being defeated for re-election, largely because of what voters viewed as his arrogance, his return to the governor's mansion, and ultimately his successful drive for the presidency. I'm also convinced that they had a marriage of convenience, not unlike Eleanor and Franklin Roosevelt. And in my book, The Clintons' War on Women, I clearly exposed the fact that, well, in my opinion, there was overwhelming evidence that Bill Clinton was a serial sexual assaulter and rapist of women. And I first pointed out that he had a strange relationship, they both did, with Jeffrey Epstein, all of which, of course, has now been documented in these most recent Epstein email file releases. I do think, however, that Bill Clinton probably never really wanted Hillary to be president. On the one hand, she did not use any of his advisors, the advisors who had successfully guided him first to the presidency, and then through to an uphill re-election in 1996. Then secondarily, of course, there's the fact that Hillary Clinton had her own cabal, John Podesta, Robbie Mook, and others. Always surprised me that they didn't use Bill Clinton more effectively in Hillary's campaign. He was always much better liked, for example, in the African American community. He was also much better liked, generally speaking, among independents, but they didn't utilize Bill, or I think, frankly, his advice in Hillary's presidential campaign. And they were shocked when they lost to Donald Trump. she made her own questions. In the end, I think she ultimately got outworked and outfoxed by Donald J. Trump. She should have made late trips to Wisconsin and Michigan, but she thought those states were in the bag. Trump was barnstorming all of the swing states like a whirling dervish. Kind of reminded me of when Harry Truman, who was running behind in 1948, running against New York Governor Thomas E. Dewey, one of the great upsets in American political history. And it was widely thought that Truman would lose. Truman got on a train in Washington, D.C., and headed west to California. Dewey had nominated California Governor Earl Warren as the candidate for vice president, whereas Truman refused to give in. The national polls. Polling was then in its infancy. Polls showed that Truman would lose. But as Truman moved west, he was doing stops at virtually every major population center right on the train tracks. His attacks on Republicans got stronger and more vituperative. He accused Republicans of sticking a pitchfork in the back of America's farmers in a recent farm bill. He blamed all the problems of the country not on his leadership as president, but on the do-nothing 89th Republican Congress. And by the time he got to California, his crowds were massive. He had caught the public imagination, and he won that election in an upset. He also carried California, even with Earl Warren, the incredibly popular governor who would later become Supreme Court Justice, Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, as his running mate. So as it was with Trump in the final days, because there is a federal regulation about how many hours a private pilot can fly without rest, Trump was barnstorming Michigan, Florida, Wisconsin, all of them swing states, North Carolina, in the closing days of the 2016 campaign, long after Hillary Clinton had retired to her place in Chappaqua, where she was calmly looking at fabric swatches for the curtains in the Oval Office. We know that the Clinton campaign planned a massive fireworks display and a huge party in New York City in what was a truly incredible and historic night, the most improbable election in American history. So today, President's Day, we also celebrate our current president, Donald J. Trump.